to her show, but she indeed invited the black lady on the show to authenticate or talk about said authentication of said audio. When we got the naysayers out there trying to say it's doctored or it's AI. And my only thing is, if it's doctored or it's AI, then it came straight from the Coast Guard company. So what that mean? But I'm Jay Lava. I scour the internet so you don't have to, and we just go ahead, jump on up in now and see what she talking about on the Nancy Grace joint real quick. Go ahead and get in now.
Tonight, in the investigation of the death of a young man, Nolan Wells, death threats are flying. One actually says there's going to be blood, so much blood. Another death threat says, don't go outside. How can anybody do their jobs when they're getting death threats? Not only that, we understand this case is headed to a grand jury. We also learned tonight that the state's autopsy is complete, but is being kept secret. Isn't an autopsy a public document? Why is it being kept hidden from us, the public? What is in that autopsy, the first autopsy of Nolan Wells? Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
Referring to
down our crime story.
Please come. We have a.
If there was
down our crime stories investigation until I know.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. Hey, up! Shut the f*** up! What'd you say?
You know, if that sound is real, there's no getting away from that. And all this business about there's no connection, well, I listened to a good 40 seconds of SETO, S-E-A, second word T-O-W, on hold, listened to their music. There was plenty good connection, but before I can even get to the death threats of blood, so much blood everywhere, and don't step outside, and more, before I can even get to the grand jury, before I can get to the autopsy that's being kept hidden from us, I want you to meet someone very important, critical to this investigation. Her name, Jeanette Brantley.
All right.
Miss Brantley is the audio engineer who enhanced the 911 call, the CETO call, in the Nolan Wells case.
Right.
So everybody claiming some ding-dong on YouTube did it, or somebody on Insta or TikTok did it, no. She did it. I've spoken to her. I've read her statement. I want you to judge her credibility. Credibility is normally the sole province of a jury, and tonight you serve in that function. Miss Brantley, I'm sure that you're getting all sorts of abuse, threats, and so forth. It's a cacophony that seemingly won't cease. That said, thank you for being with us tonight. Explain to me where you got the audio, how you got the audio, and what, if anything, you did to enhance the audio.
First and foremost, I basically downloaded it off of YouTube from WLOX News's YouTube site. And when I downloaded it, I ripped it off of YouTube. That's the terminology that we use when we take something off of YouTube. But when I ripped it off of YouTube
Pause.
And I pulled it in.
Pause, please. Objection. Miss Brantley, isn't it true
Yes.
that the audio you got was taken directly by XLO from MDMR, correct? The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay, please continue, Miss Brantley.
So when I downloaded it from YouTube, I pulled it into my DAW, which is Logic Pro X. That's my DAW of choice. And when I first listened to it, I realized that it was like a dual mono recording, which most, most phone services or operators utilize when they're recording conversations. And so it was already split between the caller, the dispatch, and the callers in the background. And so that's what made it easy for me to isolate it without having to do much to it. So that isolation, when I separated the left channel from the right channel, that just made me be able to really focus on everything that was on the call end. And what I was hearing was I honestly could not believe what I was hearing.
Miss Jeanette Brantley, isn't it true this is the same audio that was released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources?
Yes, that is absolutely correct.
Let's listen to it one more time.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership. Shut up! Shut the f*** up! What'd you say? It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. We're going down now. I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that. Everybody was on this phone. I know we have a membership, guaranteed. I don't have the tag on here. It got ripped off. What? No, we do not need that.
Foxy.
Let me go look. Worthless. Hey, jump in and pull the plug while you're going. Hold on. Take it out of gear. Take it out of gear. Hello. Take it out of gear. Okay, what's going on? What's up? Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership. Shut up! Shut the up!
Damn it, Bart.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership. Shut up! Shut the up! Damn it, Bart.
Damn it, Bart.
Damn it, Bart.
Damn it, Bart. Damn it, Bart.
Back to Jeanette Brantley joining us tonight, and she shows herself in that video showing what she is doing. What does adding EQ mean, Ms. Brantley?
Adding EQ is basically selecting a certain frequency of the actual sound and either deleting or removing a certain noise, something that's problematic to the ear, deleting that or boosting that. That's literally all EQing is.
What was your process, Jeanette? Because I was sitting researching. It was early in the morning, 5:45 a.m. several days ago, and I was researching the Nolan Wells case, and I saw the transcript as it was being played, and my husband was also up. He said, "What's wrong?" I'm like, if this is real, this changes everything. It changes everything. Because up until that point, it seemed as if Nolan's death could very well have been an accident. If this is real, it changes everything. It's seismic. What was your reaction when you heard these words, Jeanette Brantley?
I think at my core, I was in disbelief. I wasn't cleaning it or enhancing it to specifically look for or identify a crime or even point the fingers at anybody. I believe I wanted it to be an accident. I think a lot of us wanted it to be an accident. So when I heard those things, when I heard, damn it, Bart, that name stood out to me because I hadn't even heard that name before. As I was listening to certain things that stood out to me, I was in disbelief because, again, I'm just an audio engineer. I'm not an investigator, detective, or anything like that. So when I heard a name that I wasn't familiar with, it stood out to me. And that alone made me want to hear what was immediately said after damn it, Bart. And so that's why in that process where damn it, Bart came in loud and clear to me, I decided to go over to the next part to hear what the rest of that statement was, which is where you saw me actually create a loop over that part, split that part, and then add a gain, which the gain is boosting the volume overall. And that's pretty much what you saw me do in that actual video. And so to hear, damn it, Bart, Nolan's really dead now, that I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
My reaction too, Jeanette, because when I first heard it, I thought this has got to be doctored. This can't be real. Don't move. Straight out to veteran trial lawyer Franz Borghardt, a veteran trial lawyer joining us out of the Baton Rouge jurisdiction at Borghardt's law firm. Franz, take off your defense hat just one moment. I have introduced wiretaps many times at trials, which are very hard to get, by the way. And I've never had one that I believed was doctored at the time because they were taken by law enforcement. This is from a completely independent source with no dog in the fight, no skin in the game. It's from Dispatch at CETO. And if this is real, this blows the case wide up. Now, you saw Jeanette Brantley. You've heard her. I have no reason to disbelieve anything she's saying.
So if I'm prosecuting this, I'm worried that I need a witness in 2026 to exclude the possibility that it's either AI generated or doctored, just like you suggested. And I think that she's very credible, but I think we need to go one step further. The other concern I have, Nancy, is if the independent autopsy is showing inconclusive death results, now I really want to see the other autopsy to see, is there trauma to the body? Is there something that happened? These are the concerns I would have as a prosecutor. But we've now opened the doors to these guys may in fact have committed obstruction of justice.
Hold on. You're putting the cart before the horse. Before we talk about obstructions such as allegedly lying or covering something up, you've already mentioned two distinct lines of inquiry. One is that the audio that Jeanette Brantley enhanced innocently, I believe, had been already AI or doctored. Okay, let's follow that through to its logical conclusion. You just throw that out there like a stink bomb at the circle. You know what a circle meeting is, right? In the United Methodist Church, all the ladies have circle meetings. Okay. To suggest this was doctored before Jeanette got it means it had to have been doctored or AI created by who?
Exactly.
The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. No, don't just go, that doesn't work in court,
Exactly.
You can't just throw, that's like the side defense. Some other dude did it. What dude? What are you talking about? So you're saying AI doctored by who? If it's not Jeanette, then who? She got it. The same sound that was released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. What? You think they doctored it?
There is nothing normal.
We heard what we heard. And so we would have put this before a jury.
Also, we hear.
My bad.
When you heard these words, Jeanette Brantley, doctor, this can't be real. Don't move. Straight out to veteran trial lawyer Franz Borghardt, a veteran trial lawyer joining us out of the Baton Rouge jurisdiction at Borghardt's law firm. Franz, take off your defense hat just one moment. I have introduced wiretaps many times at trials, which are very hard to get, by the way. And I've never had one that I believed was doctored at the time because they were taken by law enforcement. Mm-hmm. This is from a completely independent source with no dog in the fight, no skin in the game. It's from Dispatch at CETO. And if this is real, this blows the case wide up. Now, you saw Jeanette Brantley. You've heard her. I have no reason to disbelieve anything she's saying.
So if I'm prosecuting this, I'm worried that I need a witness in 2026 to exclude the possibility that it's either AI generated or doctored, just like you suggested. And I think that she's very credible, but I think we need to go one step further. The other concern I have, Nancy, is if the independent autopsy is showing inconclusive death results, now I really want to see the other autopsy to see, is there trauma to the body? Is there something that happened? These are the concerns I would have as a prosecutor. But we've now opened the doors to these guys may in fact have committed obstruction of justice.
Hold on. You're putting the cart before the horse. Before we talk about obstructions such as allegedly lying or covering something up.
Trina.
You've already mentioned two distinct lines of inquiry. One is that the audio that Jeanette Brantley enhanced innocently, I believe, had been already AI or doctored. Okay, let's follow that through to its logical conclusion. You just throw that out there like a stink bomb at the circle. You know what a circle meeting is, right? In the United Methodist Church, all the ladies have circle meetings. Okay. To suggest this was doctored before Jeanette got it means it had to have been doctored or AI created.
Queen.
By who? The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. No, don't just go, that doesn't work in court, Borghardt's. You can't just throw, that's like the side defense. Some other dude did it. What dude? What are you talking about? So you're saying AI doctored by who? If it's not Jeanette, then who? She got it. The same sound that was released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. What? You think they doctored it?
There is nothing normal about this case. And if
that's not what I asked you. I'm asking you to explain your premise, and you're not doing it.
I said if I were a prosecutor, I would want to be able to establish with expert testimony that what we are listening to is real. And I would want a witness because I'm telling you, with this case, with as viral as it's been, I'm not disagreeing that it's real. I'm saying I would want to be able to bolster that very credible woman's testimony, and she is very credible. I have no doubt that what we're listening to and what she did is credible. The issue is I don't know if she can go the distance to say,
okay, got it. She cannot testify as to whether MDMR had enhanced it or doctored it before it was released. But see, the problem is you would have to ask someone to believe a clerk or an official at the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources doctored this before they released it, to the extent that nobody could understand it until they enhanced it. That's a hell of a doctor job. Okay, so you did that. Then you got into the medical examiner findings. Okay, what was your theory on that? Very quickly.
If he's dead on the boat, how did he die? It should be conclusive. It shouldn't be inconclusive.
Joining us right now, Joseph Scott Morgan, renowned death investigator, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, with a premier Criminal Pro Department and Building, author of Blood Beneath My Feet, star of a hit series, Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan, and it goes on. Significant, over 10,000 death scenes under his belt. Joe Scott, follow up. I'm not arguing with Burkhart's. Let's learn, if we can, from what he's saying. Jump.
Yeah, so whatever has been the causal factors here has got to marry up with what they were seeing at the scene, and perhaps the audio does fall into this, these statements. And I think that probably from a medical legal perspective, that is the coroner and the medical examiner are going to want to be able to fully appreciate what is being said here from a timeline. This is absent the police's investigation. They're going to try to rule in or rule out what they're seeing presenting on Nolan's remains when they finally did receive them at the state medical examiner's office and that examination began. And this is going to be critical and key, because the causal effects here are going to be critical. We go back to these changes that the second autopsy referred to on the back of the head. Now, the doctor was not able to, at that point in time, even though he did do a thorough, what's referred to as a layered dissection here, he could not establish the causal effects here because the injury or the insult that you see there, this presentation, is compromised by decomposition. So what did the state medical examiner see? My problem is here, Nancy, how was the body treated before or after the first autopsy and the body is transported up to D.C.? I have questions about this because they're talking about to the degree with which the body was decomposed. The doctor up in D.C. is seeing significant decomposition. We don't know what they saw in Mississippi, but I do know that you're only talking about and I'm ballparking here, please give me some grace, maybe 48 hours tops before the medical legal authorities have seen the body. So how far degraded is the body to compromise any of this? And this evidence is going to have to be borne out, not just with the physical findings that you see with the unaided eye, but also whatever's going on toxicologically.
I want you to take a careful look at this video we have obtained. Let's see it. Look how tightly everyone is packed in.
Straight up.
There were hundreds of people out on Horn Island on July the 4th. What, nobody saw what happened to Nolan Wells? They all just left with him standing there stranded, waving his arms like Gilligan? That did not happen. Now that you're seeing this, what is an innocent explanation? I'm trying to figure that out. Joining me, and I'll circle back to you, Joe Scott, because I got a lot of questions regarding the way he could have died innocently and been left behind, and that sound being true. The sound that Jeanette Brantley enhanced. Is there any innocent explanation? Is there a way? As my favorite judge often said, Luther Alverson, it is your duty to make all witnesses speak the truth and impugn perjury to no one. Is there a way that can be done? I don't know that it can. It seems to me that someone is lying.
But is.
Who? Joining me now, Teslin Figaro, social justice, political commentator, host of the Teslin Figaro podcast.
They lie.
Ms. Figaro, thank you for being with us. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, that's what the family is saying. They don't believe he died by accident. That's the point. That's the reason why Nolan Wells' mom is saying, I don't believe this. I don't believe he died by accident before we had the audio. The audio simply confirms that there are additional questions that needs to be asked. It wasn't just one thing they said in the audio. They said Nolan repeatedly in the audio. They said check his chest in the audio. They said, is he dead in the audio? And also notice this, Nancy. Did you notice that the operator also said, is anybody breathing?
Right.
Who says that? What operator says who all is breathing on the boat? So is this all the audio, Nancy? Is there more audio? That's my question.
I want to look specifically, Teslin, at what was said At one point, we think, you killed him? He's already dead. He's already dead? Is he dead? Yeah. Nolan, OMG, wake up. And as Jeanette stated, then she hears a completely different name, Bart. Now, we also hear, and I'm very curious, the phrase, no. Teslin Figaro, was that a nickname of Nolan Wells?
I cannot confirm if that's a nickname of his or not. But what I do know is we heard Nolan. What I do know is we heard check his chest. What I do know is that we said, is he dead? What we do know is we heard screams. There's folks out there suggesting that perhaps they were talking to a seagull or perhaps talking to some random bird that was flying around that's called No. There were folks out there that suggested, well, maybe they were talking about the boat. Come on, we got to knock this off, Nancy. We heard what we heard. And so we were to put this before a jury.
Also, we hear, damn it, Bart, No-No's really dead. Damn it, Bart, No-No's really dead. Repeating it over and over and over. According to reports, his nickname, one of them, is No. Back to Teslin Figaro. What is Nolan's mother's theory about what happened in light of these tapes?
Before we even had the tapes, her theory is, I told my son, I've raised my son just like I've raised my 19-year-old the same way, Nancy, like I'm sure you raise your children. Come back with the people you went with. Her theory has always been that he is a fantastic swimmer, that he is an athlete. Her theory has always been that he did not drown. Her theory has always been that there's something wrong with this picture. Her theory has always been that the fact that, he left his phone and left his keys. Her theory has also always been that he did not just go off with some random stranger and say, guys, don't worry about it, just leave me on an island. Her theory is the same thing before this audio. This audio only confirms what this mother already knew.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. Disclaimer, call a joining me now, proven guilty. And regardless of how you or I or anybody else feels, that includes the young men on the boat with Nolan Wells. We have a lot of questions that have to be answered. Is this sound real? Has it been enhanced? Who enhanced it? Was it AI or doctored before Jeanette Brantley pumped it up so we can hear it? I want you to hear another version.
You can see that I have the CTO channel completely muted, so we're only listening to the callers. Then I go through and simply raise the volume of all of the chatter we hear at the beginning of the call.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership. Shut up! Shut the f*** up! Damn it, Bart.
Susan, that was enhanced by my producer, Sydney. I know her like that. I asked her, enhance it the best you can. She, again, has no interest in the outcome of this case. She pulls up, quote, want me to cover him up? I mean, Susan, weigh in.
I was listening to the enhanced version, both of them now, not doctored, by the way. There's a big difference there. Have you ever heard, Nancy, on Instagram where you listen to two things and your mind goes to what you're thinking of, like green car or moon boat? What are we really hearing? I believe that something nefarious did happen. Where I think the answers will be, again, this is my opinion, but I believe something happened there and we're not hearing the full story. And you pointing out, Nancy, how crowded that area was. So let's say what people are claiming, that it was an accidental drowning. No one saw look here at the crowd. Nobody saw what happened. And all of us have our phones on us all the time. No one recorded this. I think the answers are in the timeline and also the autopsy when we will hear answers there.
You're seeing video from the Officer Tatum show, and I don't know what they were trying to show with it, but how can someone be dead and floating in the water and nobody notice? Which leads me to, Susan Hendricks, the fact that we have learned tonight that the state's autopsy is complete, but it's being kept secret.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Being held for the grand jury to look into that. And the fact, as you brought up, Nancy, earlier, that part of his throat was missing, will that be key? There's so many questions around this, but right, it's a public record, but we're not hearing about it. I guess they're waiting for the grand jury to show them that first.
Joe Scott Morgan, death investigator. I've never known an autopsy report not to be a public record unless they're claiming ongoing investigation.
Yeah.
Now, in the D4VD David Anthony Burt case, the LAPD demanded the medical examiner keep it secret because the medical examiner's office allegedly was leaking information, possibly for money. Don't know that yet, but I will. How common is that the medical examiner is ordered not to release the autopsy? Why is the autopsy being kept secret?
Because it's continued investigation. They're going to go to grand jury with this. I can tell you that. I'll bet you dollars to donuts if that's the case. We see it with, we saw it with Idaho 4, right? We didn't have it there. We don't have it with Charlie Kirk. You know, that's an ongoing event. This is being investigated. And, you know, the point of contact here is an interesting situation here because you have the state medical examiner, but you also have a county coroner. The state medical examiner provides a service to the county coroner. The coroner is an elected official. He does not do these autopsies. And so the coroner is going to be the gatekeeper relative to any kind of document. But with that said, under state statute, the DA, the prosecutor, they can say, look, you're going to hold off on releasing this report. So it's being held at this point in time. Now, the reports that we're hearing are saying that it is complete. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you have a complete autopsy report, that means they've got tox, they've probably got histology, which is going to be the tissue studies, and they actually have the anatomical autopsy report that has been completed. That's what I think it was ABC that was reporting that. I can't validate that, but that's what is being leaked out at this point in time. So they have this report. I think the question is, and this goes back to you, my friend, is that if this is going to be a grand jury thing, when is it going? And when is the medical examiner going to be called and summoned to speak to this? That's what everybody's going to be hanging on, in my opinion.
Hold on. Joe Scott, you mentioned the tox report. That's a blood panel done. Was he drinking? Was he using drugs? A lot has been made.
Or had he been given something?
Witnesses stating Nolan was drunk. Okay. Does that really change anything? Does that change anything?
Not at all.
Unless he died of acute alcohol poisoning. Because I guarantee you, ain't anybody on that boat that's afraid of a cocktail. Okay? So if he was drinking, what difference does that make?
Exactly.
In whether he was killed or whether he died of an accident, Joe Scott?
Well, listen, Nancy, I know you're a teetotaler, but let me tell you something. The drunker you get, the more alcohol you take on board, it lessens your ability to defend yourself. It lessens your ability to make good decisions. And so we see this played out all the time in the medical legal world. And that's going to be the measure here, I think, relative to the tox. Everybody wants to see the toxicology because that's going to give us an idea chemically what is in this young man's system. Was he able to do for himself at that point in time? And that's another problem that arises here.
It's a double-edged sword, Joe Scott. You can argue rightly. He was drunk and could not defend himself against an attack. Right. You could also argue he was drunk and hit his head, and then they go, oh, my stars, he's dead.
Yep.
But wouldn't that have shown up in the autopsy if he died by a blow to the head, be
Exactly.
it accidental or nefarious? Wouldn't that have shown up?
Yeah, and keep in mind the second physician that did the autopsy, who, by the way, is highly respected, the former chief medical examiner for D.C., that was retained by the family. He didn't see any evidence of fractures. All right. Now, that doesn't mean that there wasn't a concussive event. I'm talking about being hit in the head, and you can have stuff that's contained within the cranial vault that might not be presenting. But again, back to what I said earlier, I find it very interesting that this doctor is commenting on the state of the decomposition when he sees the body, and that's problematic. It's very problematic when you're trying to make an assessment. You're already absent the organs of the neck. You're absent intact lungs. And, because the specter of drowning is on the table as well. So if you want to make a thorough scientific assessment, he's kind of handcuffed, isn't he, at this point? And again, going back to this idea, how long did it take them to get his body to DC, and why was it in such a state of decomposition when it arrived?
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. Please join us. Take that long. I hope to see you there, and thank you, friend. Franz Borghardt joining us, veteran trial lawyer out of the Baton Rouge jurisdiction. Speaking of toxicology results, number one, they don't take that long unless you want them to. Number two, there is doubt. If he died by accident, having consumed a lot of alcohol, was there a cover-up? Or did he die from a nefarious act? So the alcohol intake could cut either way, Franz.
I think you're spot on. I think that the reasonable doubt, if someone gets arrested and accused of this crime, is going to be if the toxicology shows a high BAC in the absence of anything else. What you yourself said, could it have been foul play where he couldn't defend himself, or foul play in so much as he got injured because he was quote unquote drunk? That remains to be seen. But I don't discount the fact.
Put him up, please. Let me see, Borghardt. You're saying foul play, but it could have been something as simple as horsing around on the boat and him hitting his head. It could be somebody whacking.
But see, if that was the case, then they double, triple dog dare, double down on the mess up, because they just should have told what it was. But nope, Bart was trying to protect his career. We got Warren, who think that he's above any consequences, and everybody else on that boat who think that they shouldn't have died for the little mixed Negro Asian kid. Stop playing. If it was that, then they messed up. It's too late for that. They should have said that. But now it's a cover-up.
Kicking him in the head. It could be finding him in the water face down. And this mark on the back of his head is some type of fluid disbursement, which I don't believe, because it was nowhere else on the body except right there. And if your blood is going to sink to the lowest level upon death, it would be all over the body, but we're not seeing that. So why is just the occipital have the deep red markings? So many questions. And let me stress, before you bother sending me another death threat, we don't know the answers. These boys, these young men on that boat could be completely innocent. But when I listen to this sound, there are a lot of questions. Back to Teslin Figaro, who is joining us. She's the host of the Teslin Figaro podcast. She is
no threats, trolls. If y'all threaten anybody, any one of my mods got the ability to take you out of here. So you just say your little dumb shit and keep it moving. Don't be threatening nobody. Okay.
Is a social justice and political commentator. Have you noticed that people are making a lot of the fact that Nolan was, quote, drunk? A, how do they know that? And B, does it make a difference?
Yeah, well, I've absolutely noticed it. That he was allegedly, they're saying he was drunk, and it doesn't make a difference. And let me ask you this, Nancy: if he was drunk with other teenage kids, he certainly wasn't drunk by himself. So if he was drunk, why was he the only drunk one that ended up dead? Secondly, if this was an accident, let's say he just got so drunk and just passed out, why didn't anybody report it? So even if it was an accident, even if he got drunk, which I don't believe, by the way, even if all those things happened, why did his so-called friends not report it? That's the part that we're missing. So where's the answers to that, Nancy? He just went and just said, I'm just going to be drunk and just go in the middle of the ocean and just die with hundreds and hundreds of people who are around, who are watching. Nobody saw anything happen. His friends didn't see anything happen. And again, I go back to this tape. I will not sit up here and pretend that I did not hear what was on that tape. And I ask again, even the operator said, who is breathing
FBA.
on the boat? Don't you think that's strange, Nancy? Who's breathing
Yes,
on
when I
the
first
boat?
heard that, Tesla, I thought, I've never heard a dispatch say, who's breathing? What?
I know Teslin through listening to Tariq Spaces. Teslin, she got her opinions. Everybody ain't got to agree on everything, but she do be giving them folks that work, though.
Did she hear all that in the background and do nothing? Or did she hear it and say something and release it? We don't know, man. We got to paper everybody with subpoenas to get to the bottom of this, but I want to go to George Olivo and everybody on the panel. You're experts in your own right. Please tell me if you want to jump in. Please, I'm not clairvoyant. To George Olivo joining us. He's a former FBI special agent and polygraph examiner at georgeolivo.com. Okay, George, listen to what Officer Tatum told me. Back to Officer Tatum, star of The Officer Tatum on YouTube. Have the friends taken polygraphs?
Well, from my understanding, all but I believe one took a polygraph, and from what was told to me that they all passed, and all of the ones that took a polygraph took one without a lawyer. And they cooperated with law enforcement. So from my understanding, everybody took a polygraph test. Why do you say that's
from what you understand? Did they tell you they took a poly and passed?
Yes, ma'am. They told me that they did it. I wasn't there. So that's what I'm saying from my understanding. They told me that all the boys except one, which is Warren, I believe, took a polygraph test. All of them did not have lawyers and did it and cooperated with police. Warren also cooperated with police. I just believe he didn't take a lot to take the test, but Warren is the young man that I interviewed. So according to what they told me, they all took a lot to take test and passed. And it's an equivalent of a lot to take the test. It's not a traditional lot to take test, but it's the same theology of trying to get to if a person is lying. I don't know the name of it. It's an equivalent of a lot to take the test. It's a different methodology. I don't believe it was a polygraph test. I believe they took other stressors in order to analyze if the people were telling the truth or not.
Did they take a polygraph would be no. He's charming. He's well-spoken. But that was no. That was a no. They did not take a polygraph test, and not all of them took the, as he is calling it, the equivalent. Okay. George Olivo, in my experience as a trial lawyer, there is no equivalent for a polygraph. Tell me the various bodily indicators a polygraph measures.
So polygraph does have very specific markers, and we're looking for physiological changes in baseline or tooth signature. So we're looking at things like respiration, heart rate, electrodermal activity, which most people interpret as sweat gland activity. We're looking at peripheral movements to try and determine if someone's trying to cheat on the test. So it's quite extensive. And I think what the Officer Tatum was probably referring to, whether he realized it or not, was the voice stress analyzer. I think he used that word one time, some kind of stressor test. It's probably that they might have taken.
Man, that's some BS.
Hi guys, AmericanHomo.com, promo code nonsense, not control. Just use the link George FBI Special Agent Polygrapher, George Olivo. as I recall, just off the top of my head, a polygraph measures things you really cannot control unless you can have studied and practiced beating a poly. Involuntary physical stress responses, blood pressure, heart rate, breathing rate, whether you're sweating, tubes around your chest and abdomen track your breathing, and even not just how fast you're breathing, but the depth of your breathing. Does your breathing become shallow? Do you have to pause and take deep breaths to calm yourself down? A traditional poly, measures cardiovascular activity. There's a blood pressure cuff on your arm, and it measures your pulse and your blood pressure fluctuation. It also measures what's called electrodermal activity. What is that? I've had to explain it a million times to jurors. Sensors attached to the fingers measure your sweat gland activity and even your skin electrical conductivity. The examiner then asks neutral questions like, is your name Georgia Levo? Are you from Cincinnati, Ohio? Are you from LA, California? Are you a polygrapher? Were you with the FBI? Were you there when Nolan Wells died? That's how that would work. You would lay a foundation of non-disturbing questions, baseline questions they're called, to get the person that's being subjected to a poly to get their baseline heart rate, their blood pressure, and so forth. Then when you hit them with a question regarding the case, you see if there's any change in that. Okay, I know I'm speaking as a layperson, Georgia Levo, but those are some of the things a polygraph measures.
You nailed it. Yeah, that's right, Nancy. And let me just add that the correlation between deception and physiology is nothing new. It goes back 4,000 years back in China when the emperor was questioning one of his subjects. He would have a doctor standing by to listen to the heart rate to determine if the person was telling the truth or not. And we've been studying it ever since.
What is the test that Officer Tatum is talking about? To what is he referring?
I think, and he was kind of cryptic, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, maybe he didn't really know, but it sounded like he was referring to a voice stress analyzer. Those are these machines that detect micro stressors electronically in the voice. The research is very weak.
Basically, they didn't do nothing, and they could have lied and said that they did that. And of course, people down at the station wanted to give the judge's son a stress test. That sounds like some BS for sure, for real. A stress test.
And that type of technology, I guess it's better than nothing. But the bottom line is, and I'm speaking as a polygraph examiner, and I'm saying this: no diagnostic tool. And you know this, obviously, should ever be used as a final verdict. I mean, it is just one piece of the truth puzzle. But obviously, if you had a choice between a voice stress analyzer and a polygraph, there's really no comparison. A polygraph is going to be way more preferable.
Well, I mean, even polygraphs are not allowed in a criminal trial unless both parties stipulate they will be allowed to up front before the poly's even taken. They are allowed in civil trials. And isn't it true, Georgia Levo, you're the former FBI polygrapher, isn't it true the questions matter? They're critical. Because if you throw opening questions like, did you do anything wrong? Or what happened that day? You can't ask questions like that. You really have to ask yes/no questions, then they can expound upon it. Your questions must be very specific. Isn't that true?
100%. Yeah. Test question construction is something that is going to, a lot of things are going to make or break a test, but test question construction is key. And if something is, let's say, there's a missing child, a missing person, and you ask someone of interest, are you responsible for their disappearance? Well, that's a terrible question because, they may feel morally responsible. If only I had been more careful, they feel guilty. And so you're asking the wrong question there. So you really have to get with investigators. Or you could have asked
the perp that grabs the kid off the street, are you responsible for the disappearance? And they go, no, because in their mind, it's the parents' fault because the child was out on the street. Hadn't have anything to do with me. I just gave him a ride before I killed him. That said, you can't leave anything open to interpretation, just like you and I are describing. So when I would agree to a polygraph, I never stipulated it would come into court, ever. But when I would agree to a polygraph as an investigative tool, I would take part in selecting the questions and creating the questions. Because frankly, let's just be honest, George, a voice stress test where the prosecutor or the investigator is not in charge of the questions ain't worth a hill of beans, technical legal jargon. That means nothing to me.
I'd agree with you there.
Let me put it more clearly. Voice stress test, my rear end. That ain't coming into court. In fact, I wouldn't even pay any attention to it. Now, you give me a polygraph where I help fabricate the questions? Maybe. I want to know who is the polygrapher. Is he somebody the defense hires all the time so they're beholden to the defense? No, I want somebody like Olivo that did it with the FBI. So telling me these boys, as they call them, they're young men, took, first it was a poly, then I find out it's a voice stress test, took a test and they passed. Oh, except one of them didn't take it. That means nothing. Put them on a poly with questions approved by the state, then I'll pay attention. Right now, it's really not worth the salt that goes in my bread. You know what? If I wanted someone to pass one of these lie detector tests, I'd go with a voice test like these young men took. I wouldn't let them take a polygraph. Susan Hendricks joining us, investigative journalist and reporter.
Exactly, CC.
Death threats, including one that says blood will be everywhere. What was that?
That was from a man out of Sacramento, now arrested and threatening the judge, who is the stepmother of Warren. And talk about frightening, saying a lot of blood. There'll be a lot of blood like there was on the boat, but yours will be much faster.
The perp is Joseph.
Oh, they had to take a little opportunity to highlight this. I think this is bluff. Because look at this dude. I understand playing and saying goofy stuff on the internet, but what skin and what game does this dude have to call a judge, mind you, and say any of this? I think all of that is bluff. I think it's all bluff.
Alfredo Vasquez Dumars, arrested Thursday on charges of interstate transmission of threatening communication. Now, these are federal documents. What did he threaten one of the young men's mom with, Susan?
The threats were against Warren, one of the boys on the boat, his stepmother, who is a judge. And it was graphic. It was brutal, saying there will be blood everywhere, threatening her life.
It was graphic. It was brutal. Like, ain't nobody ever heard cuss words no more before, or like there's not movies with more graphic stuff on how, like, you ain't seen Saw before. Like, shut up. Just stop it. It's just putting all the extras on there.
Talking about on the boat, saying
it really does. It says that he is sending a bomb to her office that will, quote, blow you away when you see it. Once that package is open, the timer will start. Then you have 10 seconds or less to ask God for forgiveness. Really? So much blood everywhere. Hard to clean, especially from a boat.
What?
That was in that.
That's so fake. That's fake. They went to Chat GPT to get that. They said, quote me a villain from a horror film, and just whatever it came up with.
And right now, it's really not worth the salt that goes in my bread. You know what? Vasquez Dumars, arrested Thursday on charges of interstate transmission of threatening communication. Now, these are federal documents. What did he threaten one of the young men's mom with, Susan?
The threats were against Warren, one of the boys on the boat, his stepmother, who is a judge.
Okay.
And it was graphic. It was brutal, saying there will be blood everywhere, threatening her life, talking about on the boat, saying
it really does.
Much.
It says that he is sending a bomb to her office that will, quote, blow you away when you see it. Once that package is open, the timer will start. Then you have 10 seconds or less to ask God for forgiveness. So much blood everywhere. Hard to clean, especially from a boat.
They tried to make that sound sinister and that sound like a damn joke. She's trying her best to read it and make it sound like it's coming from some diabolical fiend that was hell bent on letting the judge know how he felt. Get out of here. That sound like Gemini Chat GPT mix. That was I'm shaking in my boots. I'm so scared. They was scared of that? That ain't nothing like the death threats I be getting. I be getting way worse death threats than that on Facebook. That's pretty mild, I would say. They shaking in their Pradas. I mean, this is ridiculous to paint themselves as some sort of victim. Because ain't nobody said that. Ain't nobody said that.
That was in that letter. And there is another death threat, Susan Hendricks, to Mississippi law enforcement saying, don't go outside. What happened with that?
Yeah, Cincinnati, Ohio woman calling 2 officials out of Mississippi.
I call cap. And if she did say don't go outside from Ohio, do she look like she finna take a Greyhound down to Ohio to come get you? Do she really look like she finna hop on the next flight smoking and come give you the beeswax? That's what I'm talking about. Where's the proof? I thought y'all opened up your social medias again. Or y'all been creeping out just to see what everybody's saying about you? Yeah, she ain't say nothing but don't go outside. Man, if that was the case, then it would be people at all the white people's door with the stuff they be saying in my chats under them devil posts. Are you serious? They would need a nationwide task force for all the people. What? They were scared of that? I'm looking at Shorty right here. She ain't trying to do nothing but have some Michelob Ice on the weekend with a pack of Newports. You dig what I'm saying? Bumping Young M.A. You see what I'm saying? Trying to barbecue. She got an apron and she coal on the grill. You see? You see? That's all she worried about. She ain't looking at no Ashley Cole. Are you serious? They done made Shorty Hannibal Lecter now. All of a sudden, she Jigsaw from Saw. Don't go outside. What? Stop it. With her Nike slides and socks on. Yeah. Miss Bitch, okay. You're painting the picture. You see what I'm saying? Playing spades, of course. This is all in the back. Cooler full, all that. It's more than a distraction. This is that tactic that we used the other day. Ain't that right, class? We know what this is. Get out of here. Yeah, yeah. Oh, don't go outside. Man, cuz she probably didn't even know you was a judge for real. She's so silly. She didn't even know that you was like really even a judge for real. Oh, Judge Cole, the victim.
Several times, more than 25 times. Here is her mugshot. And you're right. Don't go outside saying there's a bomb. So the threats are they're taking them seriously as
she said so hold on, wait.
Times more than
Shorty know how to build a bomb. Wait. Did y'all hear that they said that she built a bomb? I really think they got my girl messed up. I'm not gonna let you sit up here and put my girl out there like that, cause she look like she don't really get down like that. Like, she too cool. She take care of her stepchildren. She work at the factory. She drive a 2019 Chevy Impala, tinted out, with a TV deck in there, on some low pros. You see? She ain't doing all that. She ain't doing all that. I ain't say she couldn't read now. I'm just saying. Yeah, she take care of her stepchildren. You know what I'm saying? Push them on the swings at the park. You know what I mean? It's, she invite the homies over for the barbecue and all that. You know what I'm saying? Be on GTA and Call of Duty. She don't got time for that. Yeah, watch a little WNBA on her off time. You know what I'm saying? Look, you know what I'm saying? That's all. I ain't even gonna let y'all put that on my girl like that. I don't even like that. You got Shorty messed up, man.
And 25 times. Here is her mugshot. And you're right. Don't go outside saying there's a bomb. So the threats are they're taking them seriously, as they should, and 2 arrests so far.
That's right. A woman now accused of bomb threats to government offices related to the Nolan Wells investigation. This is an Ohio woman facing federal charges. Michelle Francine Edwards, just charged in the U.S. District Court, Southern District, Mississippi. 1 count, transmitting threatening communications to interstate commerce. Okay. Nobody can do their job appropriately when they're under a death threat.
Let me talk about the white girl tears. We can't forget about the white girl tears. Oh my God, let's sing a song about the white girl tears.
That's against Mississippi law enforcement. Trust me, there are people within law enforcement that are trying to do the right thing. Threats on one of the young men's mothers. That's not all. Teslin Figaro, Nolan's family, has gotten threats too.
Oh no.
Absolutely. And, I don't condone violence on anybody, but I do want to put some context behind this, Nancy, as well. I was a police officer in the Air Force. You're talking about government officials, meaning I'm sure the judge has received threats. I'm sure the police officer has received threats, although they should not happen. But these are individuals that have taken, just like you and I, have taken on, positions that it comes with the territory. You have received death threats. I have received death threats. So the people that's not being talked about that's received the death threats is Nolan Wells' mother and father. Why is nobody talking about the death threats with them? They've reported it. Why isn't anybody arresting the people who are actually harassing the victims? It's online. It's available for people to see. So I just find it very interesting that there's so much sympathy for a police officer who not only do they receive death threats, they put their life on the line. They signed up and raised their hand to say, hey, pick me for the death threats and pick me to give my very life, as I did in the Air Force. So it is not right what is happening, but we also have to shine a light on the actual victims, the actual people who are grieving the loss of their son, and nobody gives a damn about the death threats that they're receiving.
I want to be very clear, Ms. Figueroa. You say nobody cares. That's not true. I care. I care. I care about the death threats on Nolan's mother and his family and his team. I also care about death threats on one of these boys' mother and on law enforcement. And yes, my first death threat, oh my goodness, came back in the 80s. But guess what? They faxed it to me from the Fulton County Jail. So that wasn't much of a mystery. But with every time you take a position, you make people angry. The thing is, if these threats, including the ones on Nolan's mother, the mother, you know what I'm doing?
You see, yeah, that's when I hate when people talk and they be othering. Because first she making sure that she's secure that the death threats for the white lady is totally valid. And Nolan's mother, and those ones too, but these ones first, but those ones too. Come on, man. Just like Bart was othering Nolan and my friend group and Bart. We used to get on the boat all the time, and Nolan was always welcome.
All night long till 2 o'clock, Miss Figueroa, I'm packing my children to go away to college. That's what Nolan's mother should be doing tonight. She should be getting him ready to go back to school. Instead, she's visiting his remains. And now, death threats. We want justice in this case. We don't want secret grand jury proceedings. We don't want secret medical examiner reports. We want all threats investigated. We want the truth behind that audio. I want to know. And I want everybody on that boat polygraphed.
Oh my God.
We want answers. If you know, or you think you know anything about this case, dial 228-769-3063. Tonight, we honor Canine Echo.
Okay, enough with the dogs and all of that. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, hold on. Let me look y'all square in your retinas, boy. Let me check y'all. Somebody tried to talk about my hairline. I used to have hair. I'm baldy now. You know what I'm saying? I used to have hair. You know what I'm saying? I used to have dreads, actually. You know what I'm saying? I had locks. But when you get old and that hairline started receding, you just got to give it up at some point. You know what I'm saying? But I'm cool with the smoothie. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm cool with the smoothie. You know what I'm talking about? I'm cool with the smoothie. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, what I'm going to do is, right, We gonna let this ride like we let it ride with the Nancy Grace, and I'm gonna come back like I do a double black on the back double side. You know what I'm saying? But let's give a round of applause for all of my mods and my members in the house. Thank you. Thank you so much. I told y'all I was gonna get some claps for y'all. I told y'all I was gonna make sure that I get something to appreciate my peoples. You know what I'm saying? Because I appreciate y'all, you know. So I had to make sure one of them was the claps. You know what I'm saying? And then I got us some. I think that's a more appropriate one. And then you know I got the.
Oh my God, bro! Oh hell no, man! What the?
And then I thought I might want to go old school with the.
Damn!
Shout out to O'Shea because he got that one, but that don't mean I can't use it too. Straight up. Anyway, yes, Money Mike, all my peoples, Foxy, all my peoples, everybody. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna log out of this one, keep it short. We trying to keep it short. Then I'm gonna come back and let the people speak. It's a whole bunch of new stuff going on. You already know what it is, but I just want to do a little pivot. I do got a Cash App. My Cash App is at Keep It P Podcast. I think it's under my thing. Thank you for inquiring though, bro. I appreciate that. On some real shit. You know, that's the shit you can't say yourself, or people be trying to be on some bullshit. Hold on, let me see. Don't my little thing come up? Oh yeah, there you go on the screen at Keep It P Podcast, and it's Justin. If it ain't Justin, it ain't me. That's all I'm saying. But I appreciate that. Put the song on the way out. Why not? What you talking about? I ain't heard it in a little minute anyway. I don't hear it until I come on the joint with y'all. It's no big deal to me. Hey. Who we got in the house? It's roll call time. We got the Bay Area up in here. We got New York in here. We got Cali in here. We got Saginaw, Michigan up in here. Oakland representing. Dirty Jersey in this jump. Chicago, Indiana, GI. Glen Park, if you know. Keep It P should be the name of the beat. So it is. Memphis 10, Orange Mound, Philly, FBA Song of the Year. Polk County Zoes in here. Kansas City up in here. Buffalo. We got Texas in the jump. Dallas, that is. Uh-oh, we got a mad, y'all. Got them in the comments like, look, got him in the them boys over there in the comments steaming off that black unity and love. Ah, that's what you get for being a buster. That's right. And every time we feel like we gonna want to do it, we gonna do it. You buster. Mississippi, will you not play us for fools? My biggest fear is that they plant grand jurors to say no probable cause. I consider that fact as well too. You got to think. Oh, you know what? It's funny that you said that. Blessed Beyond. When we come back, I actually dug into one of their groups, y'all. I went into a Oceanside group, fam. The people of Oceanside, right? And we gonna look in the group and see what they talking about. And you know what? When I was in the group, I was thinking, shoot, this is the people that's gonna be on the jury. Look, this is it right here, y'all. We gonna talk about this group right here. Funny you said that, but this is the people of Oceanside, and oh yeah, there's text messages, there's all type of stuff up in here. So yeah, we definitely gonna go through here. I'm glad you said that. Bless, stick around. We coming back. Yeah. Hold on, let me show y'all what it looked like because I got myself up there. Hold on. Yeah, this is their group right here. Yeah, this is their group right here. And we gonna go up and down the group, up and down the timeline, and see what we can find. Cause they over here. You go on some of these chats, boy. Oh, look, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna find the people who donated to this. Look at the post. Look at the post. Say it's time for the race baiting to end. It's time for everyone to be held accountable, including Ben Crump and high-profile activists. Oh man, I'm gonna read this whole little thing. And but this is how they over there juking their own people. Y'all know this joint is like 90,000 already. They almost at the 100. They almost at the 100. Almost there already. People gonna finance that hate. You better believe it, right? But I ain't gonna hold you. I'm emoji fold you, scold you about being on code. You know I got 5 words for you. I need y'all to go ahead and subscribe for them vibes. Like for that spike in the algorithm. Also come back and hype that thing because it's got the little hype on there after the post. Hype that thing. You dig what I'm saying? Then I need you to all my members, I need you to put a comment after the live stream too, so I can mod you up. All my members right now, because I figure I'm gonna need exactly as amount of mods as members as I got right this moment, because when it start to grow, y'all all will be in place, and then we'll have multiple people on multiple channels. So and try to comment on other channels too if you want to police other channels, because they'll just flip to the other channels, just so y'all know. And I'll mod y'all when I see y'all name. I'll mod all y'all on whatever channel you want to be on. Other than that, make sure you share if you care about getting Black empowerment everywhere. And love, peace, blessings, and aloha. I'm out the Doha for Shoha. I'm coming right back.